congratulations on this third series season.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about your characters? They are at the end of sort of a really complex story. So you're at one end and your characters are at the other end. Yeah. How do you sort of prepare for that kind of role? And sort of trying to understand how someone would be, what his characteristics would be at that stage of his life.
You're talking about me?
Terry,
yeah. As we come into season 3, or as it's all 3 seasons?
In general, yeah.
Well, I can only kind of draw on me, at my age and what I'm doing, and then kind of trust the text and the storytelling, and. So, I mean, at the very sort of most innocent aspect of it, he's just the wise man who's gone through what Dawn's gone through and what Day's gone through in the Middle Throne, and now he is the advisor, emeritus, sitting out there just looking at these 2 young men and how they're going to govern, So he's there to advise, But by the time we get to season 3, it's really devolved into King Lear. The tyrannical mania of somebody that's losing everything, and how does he save what he can save? So, I just draw on that. I go, well, it's King Lear here, or maybe it's more benign when it's earlier on in the seasons. But for the most part, I draw on a lot from these guys, because from day one, the 3 of us all got together and decided who we were going to be to one another, and we've constantly worked on that in terms of mannerisms or in terms of who we are in any given scene. It's always constantly shifting and moving, but we're always there to kind of taking care of each other.
I guess the same questions to you as Brother Dawn, and you are, as I said, at the other side. You're just starting out in this kind of new body, new sort of way of looking at things. How does that? What is it for you? That idea of sort of being a fresh soul.
Yeah,
really.
I think it's interesting playing a part that you can see where I end up you see Lee's performance as Day and you see Terry's as Dusk. And so my work as an actor from the get-go has been a sort of like working backwards. Yeah. It's seeing, okay, well, that's where I've got to end up as a character, and you have to believably think that I would turn into Day and then turn into Dusk. And so it's almost like investigative work, but backwards. Yeah. I think when it comes to the youthful aspect of it, I think in earlier seasons we've seen a much more wide-eyed and naive Dawn who seems to just fall for the wrong girl quite a lot and
reactive.
Yes,
we were talking
reactive.
About yesterday.
Yeah, reactive. He operates in a more passive position in the palace in the same way that young people do generally when we're here just to sit on the sidelines and watch how things are done. I think this season is very different. I think because we have a Brother Day that's essentially abdicating the throne and is stepping back from responsibility, I really have to step up. And so you almost see this dawn turning into day. Trying to think of an appropriate word for like Brother Darkness, maybe like the sunrise. You do see that change of Dawn turning into someone that wants to take on the mantle of power and someone that hopefully will be able to rule on the middle throne.
Yeah. There are so many characters in the whole story of Foundation of the Asimov story as well, but it's not because it's not just one book; it's a whole sort of saga around it. Are there any other characters you would have loved to play if you weren't playing your characters?
That's a great question.
What a good question.
We were talking just now about how great a character Demoiselle is. I think she really is like the MVP of the show. I think she's just exceptional. Laura's performance is really incredible. Yeah. But I don't think anybody could play that part other than Laura Byrne. So I think we'll leave it to her. Like, she's so brilliant in it. But that would be cool, I think. What do you reckon, Terry?
Yeah. Probably the mule.
Oh, yeah.
I think,
that's fun,
Pilou is just, he's just like, you go,
so
ooh, I want to do that.
Yeah,
I want to, do that. He's just brilliant.
Because there are so many possibilities with the mule.
Oh, 100%.
He can be whoever he wants
That's
to
right.
be.
That's right, yeah.
So mind control looks fun. It would be fun to speak.
Kill yourself.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, okay, next.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about the idea of Foundation. What do you think Asimov wanted to tell in this story? What do you think his philosophy was in trying to tell this story, in your opinion?
I think that ultimately what Asimov was writing is something that is very hopeful. I think I think it's both hopeful and a warning. I think it's a warning to say like people holding on to seats of power for too long is a dangerous thing, and I think,
And here we are.
you see, and here we are,
Fantastic,
and you see the dangers of that, particularly in the Cleons. And granted, the Cleons aren't written as clones in the books, but the same idea exists, and that people have been ruling for too long, and as a consequence, if society is static and not dynamic, it does fall apart. But at the same time, I think there's something really hopeful about the way in which he writes, just the central idea of foundation of you can start again. There are fresh beginnings, and that ultimately humanity wins out in the end. And I think that robot stuff and AI stuff is, yes, so topical now. And weirdly, when we started making the show, it was all on our minds. And now, I mean, you can't escape
Incredible.
conversations about, 100%. Maybe we'll have a real Temsel at some point.
Yeah.
But,
Probably, yes.
Yeah,
It's
if-
almost like the axiom of his that kind of underpins the trilogy is if history has taught us anything, civilizations rise and fall. It's just part of the nature of existence.
Yeah.
I know the Cleons, as you said, the clones are not in the book, but were you ever discouraged from like reading the book before starting to play those characters?
I don't think we were discouraged in any way. I think one thing that David was very clear on is that he was a fan of these books as a kid. His dad was a huge fan of these books, and it's a really meaningful piece of science fiction work for him. And so I think from the get-go, he's always wanted to honour those books. I think the books are unbelievably brilliant, but they're challenging to make into a TV show as they're written. And so I think the license that we've taken, I hope, really honours the spirit of the show. And I spoke to Robin Asimov, who's Isaac's daughter, about this, and she loves the show. So it's a really good endorsement.
Yeah. What about you, Terry?
I think that David just had to. It's so dense. You know, I mean, the whole thing is so dense, and to try to tell the whole story, you've got to go. Let's do that, and then let me take that as a springboard and jump into Clone World and have that be the thrust.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!